Aaron.
Here?
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Aaron is here with SPTV coverage of the Danny Masterson trial. But since we're still waiting to go to court this morning, there's another story that I wanted to let you guys know about. Scientologist Gary Cardone, Scientologist and fraudster Gary Cardone, identical twin brother of Scientologist and also fraudster Grant Cardone. Gary has stepped down as CEO of his company amid fraud allegations. A scathing lawsuit, almost certainly to be followed up by criminal charges, was brought against Gary Gary and his wife, or I guess now ex-wife, Monica, was brought against the two of them a couple weeks ago. And now Gary's stepping down. I want to share with you just some of the highlights here. So let's see. All right, we have here. This is actually the press release that Gary and Monica put out. Okay. Tampa Bay chargebacks 911 and its sister brand FI 911 or FI 911, the global leader in chargeback management technology, announced today the formal transition of Monica Eaton, I guess no longer going by Monica Cardone, to assume title as CEO. Gary Cardone, who has held the title of CEO for the last 10 years, will depart the management team and retire from the business to pursue other strategic investments. Wow. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to be taking over as CEO amid what is almost certain to be a criminal case for fraud. Now, what are we talking about with the fraud? So let me share this next screen with you. Okay, here we go. All right. FTC and Florida Attorney General sued Chargebacks 911 for thwarting consumers who were trying to reverse disputed credit card charges. Complaint charges that the chargeback mitigation company used misleading screenshots, bogus transactions on behalf of scammers. And I'm just going to jump forward to this highlighted paragraph. Chargebacks 911 helped scammers stay in business and defeat chargeback attempts by consumers hit with fraudulent charges. The FTC will continue to take aggressive action against those who undermine consumers' ability to exercise their rights. Now, this press release put out by the FTC is so incredibly tame compared to the actual complaint itself, which I'm going to share with you. We're not going to go through the whole thing because this is just going to be a short video. And compared to the complaint itself, as well as the details surrounding it which Jeff Augustine has uncovered and published about on his Scientology Money Project blog. He and I actually did a video breaking down what has led to this lawsuit and why it seems almost certain this is going to result in criminal charges. And I'll put a link to that video in the description down below. But if we look at this complaint right here, you'll see, well, first of all, it was only filed 14 days ago, thereabouts, 16 days ago. The FTC and the Office of the Attorney General, State of Florida, Department of Legal Affairs are the plaintiffs versus Global E-Trading LLC, a Florida LLC, all doing business as Chargebacks 911. Gary Cardone individually, that's important, and as an officer of Global E-Trading. Monica Eaton individually, and as an officer of Global E-Trading. Because I'm trying to keep this video really short, I'm not going to scroll all the way through this thing to the bottom where it gets to some of the real serious allegations. I mean, this is an FTC lawsuit. It is worded as a criminal complaint. It makes accusations of criminal activity. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest promoters of Chargebacks 911 was Grant Cardone. And I did a whole video about that. I'll post a link to that video in the description down below as well. What isn't specifically laid out in the complaint is how this thing came about. 3 of Chargebacks 911's biggest customers, a customer that Gary and Monica were personally involved with servicing, have been found criminally liable for committing over $250 million worth of credit card fraud with the assistance of Gary Cardone and Monica Eaton Cardone and their company Chargebacks 911, which appears to have been created for the sole purpose or one of the major purposes of helping helping companies whose business model depends on committing credit card fraud continuing to commit the credit card fraud. One of the ways they did this is many of you out there who have companies that have merchant accounts will know, how chargebacks work, and that if your merchant account exceeds more than 1% of total transactions in chargebacks, it's a huge red flag and your merchant account gets shut down. Well, you need your merchant account to stay open in order to keep committing, doing business. You need your merchant accounts open in order to be able to run credit cards. So one of the ways that Chargebacks 911 would help companies whose business model was predicated on fraud keep their chargebacks below the threshold was to use prepaid cards and run thousands upon thousands of microtransactions through the merchant accounts of these companies whose business model was predicated on committing credit card fraud, so that their overall chargebacks at the end of the day would be appear very falsely low, because their merchant account, the number of total transactions was being massively boosted by these microtransactions that were being run through, which weren't really customer transactions. It was a special service offered by Chargebacks 911 specifically to help fraudsters keep their chargebacks below the 1% threshold. Well, what do you know? The three clients, and this is just three of the biggest clients, have all cooperated with the authorities and appear to be rolling over and cooperating. And I really wonder who it is they're rolling over on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why these three clients who have had to give back hundreds of millions of dollars have not gone to prison and won't be going to prison, because they are actually, one of them, it looks like one of them will be, but his sentence is being massively reduced. The only reason these guys are getting sweetheart deals, in my opinion, is because they are in the process of rolling over on Gary and Monica. I don't know why Monica's willing to step into the role of CEO at this point. But anyway, a lot of the behavior over there in Cardone land doesn't make sense. And you might go, Aaron, you're talking about Gary. I mean, I thought this was Grant. Gary and Grant are business partners. I think once the FTC, and who knows, perhaps even the FBI, because the FBI have already been investigating Grant and Cardone Capital. Cardone Enterprises is another type of beast, and Chargebacks 911 appears to have been created to help Cardone Enterprises keep their chargebacks below 1%. So you've got the feds, you've already got the feds sniffing around in Cardone Capital. Now you've got the feds likely sniffing around in Cardone Enterprises via Chargebacks 911. It's not going to be a good year over in Cardone land. All right, everybody, that is all I have on this. Stay tuned later today for coverage of the Danny Masterson trial. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, please. It actually helps me out. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right